Honorable Chief Guest, Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah, Senior Peony Judge, Supreme Court of Pakistan, Mr. Abdullah Fazil, Country Representative, UNICEF Pakistan, Nadia Bibi, Representative of NCRC, Ms. Rabia Javedi Agha, Chairperson, NCHRC, Honorable Judges from Supreme Court and High Courts, esteemed judges from District Judicial Pakistan, delegates and participants, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I request the participants to please rise for the national anthem. We start this occasion with the recitation of Holy Quran. For that purpose, I would like to request Mr. Muhammad Iqbal, Additional District and Sessions Judge, to enlighten us with few verses from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم.
On behalf of Federal Judicial Academy, it is with great pleasure and honor that we welcome you all to the launch event of Reimagine Justice for Children, Pakistan. To formally proceed with the proceedings further, I invite Mr. Hayat Ali Shah, Director General of the Federal Judicial Academy, for the welcome address. Mr. Hayat Ali Shah is a distinguished leader in the realm of judicial education and judicial reforms. With a career dedicated to enhancing the capacity and efficacy of judges across Pakistan, Mr. Shah has played a vital role in implementing comprehensive training programs aimed at fostering judicial excellence and inclusivity. Please welcome Mr. Hayat Ali Shah for the welcome.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallam. Honorable Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah, Senior Peony Judge, Supreme Court of Pakistan, Mr. Abdullah Fazil, Country Rep for UNICEF Pakistan, Honorable Justice Mohsen Akhtar Kiani, Judge, Senior Peony Judge, Islamabad High Court, learned judges, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, children from different schools, and my colleagues, my friends, my brothers and sisters, judges of the district judiciary. I welcome you all to this great occasion, which to us is another great day in the history of the Federal Judicial Academy. And we all really feel honored to welcome you for a cause, for a big cause, which is justice, reimagine justice for child. Why? Child is actually promise of, when a new child is born, it depicts the promise of Almighty Allah that He wants to continue with the human race. This continuation of human race is ensured by birth of a child. Now, what is the difference between a human child and children are offspring of the other living things, and particularly the other species on earth? The most vulnerable amongst them is the child of human being. Because if a child of a goat is born, it stains right after its birth. It knows how to eat. It knows how to stand, how to run, how to seek protection from rain, from sun, and from other things. On the other hand, if we see the human child, up to 2 years, he needs at least 2 years to enable itself just to stand on its feet. It's so vulnerable. And it is not by chance, it is by design. The Allah has designed the human child, or it is His design that why the human child is so weak, so vulnerable. And it takes at least 5 years to understand the things. Because human child is special. Because human child is promise of Almighty Allah. Because human child is to continue with the nature. He is to ensure that humanity, our human race, is to continue. Now, what is the responsibility of the grown-up? What is the responsibility of the parents? What is the responsibility of the society? A child, a species which is so vulnerable, which is so weak that it needs support of the mother, then it needs support of the siblings, then it needs support of the teacher, then it needs support of the society, unless he is declared as beggar and unless he is able to do the things himself. He is a special thing, and for that he needs special rules and special rules of justice. Why? This is very important. The child needs special rules of justice because when he comes in conflict with the justice system, with the law, or in contact with the law, the way he is treated, the way he receives the treatment, that impacts his mind. And when he is grown up, he responds to the society in the same way as he was treated in his childhood. So it is not choice of the society, it is duty of the society. It is demand of the society, it is demand of the nature. Because if you want peace in the society, if you want development in the society, you need to create an environment where there should be respect for law, where there should be respect for principles of justice. And you can ensure respect for the law, and you can ensure the prevalence of the principles of justice, or in other words, prevalence of rule of law. Then you have to treat the children in a way that they should respect the law. They should feel that law gives them honor. They should feel that law gives them respect. And when they feel so, they will behave in the same manner. So to reimagine justice, it is duty, not the choice. I am thankful to Fazal Abdullah, who heads the UNICEF in Pakistan, that he supported this idea, and it is his commitment to this idea that despite being not well today, he is with us. So I will ask for a big clap for him. I'm extremely grateful to Honorable Justice Sayyid Mansoor Ali Shah, who is, what word should I use? That he wants not only to support the justice system but also the district judiciary, and he wants that the judges of the district judiciary should, in their own places, every one of them in their own places should be one like Sayyid Mansoor Ali Shah. So I'm thankful to you, my lord. I'm thankful to Justice Mansoor, and I'm thankful to all of you that you have traveled from different parts of the country. And sir, one thing I may point out, that we invited the judges who performed best in the FJA. So claim for yourself that you are the people who have performed better in the trainings which were held here. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
It's time for Vox Liberi. I would like to invite champions of child rights, Sania Khalid and Muhammad bin Faisal, to express their views how they look at the children's rights.
Honorable Justices, Excellencies, respected judges and guests, dear friends, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sania Akhtar and I am 16-year-old. And I'm very happy to be the part of this special event where together we will reimagine justice for children in Pakistan. It's a big step forward. Today we celebrate the voice of children like me and so many others from all over Pakistan who dream of a world where every child is treated with fairness, care, and dignity. We believe justice for children is about ensuring that every child feels protected, respected, and valued whenever they came in contact with the justice system, as a child in conflict with the law, a victim, or a witness. The video that follows will explain why is it so important to have a justice system which focuses on this new agenda. Thank you.
In Pakistan, every child deserves justice. Meet Amina, a child victim, who is met with empathy by police officers trained to support child victims of crimes. Unfortunately, not all children receive the help they need. In some cases, the justice system fails to respond, leaving children like Amina vulnerable, traumatized, and unheard. With the right support, Amina meets a child psychologist who listens and guides her through the justice and healing process. But without this support, Amina's pain goes unaddressed. She feels alone with her struggle, lost. Thanks to trained and sensitized judges and prosecutors, Amina finds her voice in court, where her story is heard, evidence shared, and justice served. However, when left alone, Amina's testimony is overshadowed, and justice feels like a distant dream. When justice systems do not focus on children's specific needs and their best interest, the cycle of abuse can never be stopped. But when justice prevails, children like Amina can reclaim their childhood. It's time to ensure every child in Pakistan has access to justice, a justice system that understands and protects them. Together, we can build a safer world for our future generations. Join us together. Let us reimagine justice for children in Pakistan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Justices, Excellencies, respected judges and guests, and friends, good morning. My name is Muhammad bin Faisal, and it is an honor to stand here today and share this moment with all of you. On behalf of all the children present, I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to us. It does not happen so often. My friends, and I created a short video, Vox Liberi. we asked our families, teachers, and friends 2 questions. Why are child rights important, and what does justice for children mean to you? Their answers were honest, inspiring, and sometimes surprising. Moreover, some of us have a few suggestions that we would like to share with justice system actors. You need to listen to our voices because we see the world differently from you. So, to deliver to justice, it is essential that you put yourselves in our shoes. Feel and think like children. Also, you should copy the example of the NCRC and create a child advisory panel at the SC level to help you make policies, take decisions. We could guide you and help you improve justice for children. Finally, we really hope that you will remember what is being said today in this room and in this video, and that the Reimagine Justice for Children in Pakistan agenda will never be forgotten after this event. We children are ready to help, but we cannot achieve this without you. That is why a launch like this is so important. We create an opportunity to learn from each other, share ideas, and build a justice system that is truly good for children. So today, we thank you for your support and for your promise to reimagining justice for children in Pakistan. Together, we can create a system where every child is safe and has a chance to thrive. Thank you very much.
Justice of children means equal love and care of the child.
They should all be considered the most important thing before making decisions for them.
जो बुनियादी हकूक हैं बच्चे के सबसे पहले तो उसकी बचपन से परवरिश है, उसके बाद उसकी तालीम है, right to education and right to equality. मेडिकल का सिस्टम सेहत का इंतजाम है, उसके बाद उसके खाने पीने का सिस्टम है. तो ये बच्चे के बुनियादी हकूक हैं.
बच्चों की जल्दी शादी नहीं करनी चाहिए और उनकी तालीम का ख्याल रखना चाहिए और उनको मजबूरी पे नहीं लगाना चाहिए.
I would strongly suggest other parents to listen to their kids first, try to understand their point of view,
So that we have a society of decent and responsible adults.
The children of today will become leaders for tomorrow.
in order to bring good rules among family. They should not implement or impose their own rules on everyone, on their children even. They should have an open discussion with them so that there must be an understanding of what they are going to do as together.
तो जितना हो सके बच्चों के साथ कोऑपरेट करना चाहिए, कोई मतलब उनके सख्ती नहीं करनी चाहिए. तबलीग के मामले में माँ बाप को बहुत जरूरी है कि उन्हें बच्चों का ख्याल रखना चाहिए. जितना हो सके ज़्यादा करेंगे.
बच्चों के बेसिक राइट्स का ख्याल रखना पेरेंट्स की जिम्मेदारी है. हमें अपने बच्चों में इतना अपनाव पैदा करना चाहिए कि वो अपनी हर प्रॉब्लम से शेयर कर सके.
Child rights are vital to safeguard their dignity and future potential. Justice for children supports an environment where their rights are respected.
Justice system is the idea that every children should be protected and served by the justice system. Their needs, rights, social culture, environment, schooling should be prioritized.
It is a child marriage making غير قانوني كثير معلومات كثير من غرض دي خدمكم من ده خلطوا خبر راو زي وكذا عشان من غرض ده child courts إذا من جو سيجودو بقى سي lawyer راو سي بقى judge راو زي خلطوا معلومات وسي سي معلومات مشمول لبارا يو سي judge court جوسي और من غرض completely خدمكم child laborers.
So अगर आप लोग बाहर जाए तो आप देख सकते हैं कि आजकल छोटे-छोटे बच्चे छोटी-छोटी बच्चियां जो हैं वो छोटी-छोटी जॉब्स कर रही हैं, which is in my opinion और I think we should agree कि हम सबके opinion में बहुत बड़ी चीज है. उसके अलावा अगर हम बात करें तो इस world की safety is a very big concern for children as well. और मकसद है खपल मुल्क बेहतर लाने का राउंड.
Justice system ensures that every children should be treated equally and fairly, and their interests should be put it first and considered. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent, Sonia. Our next session focuses on the global framework on justice for children. Mr. Abdullah Fazal is representative of the United Nations Children's Fund in Pakistan since May 2022. He leads the new multi-sectoral UNICEF country program of cooperation in partnership with the government in support of the National Development Plan. Please welcome Mr. Abdullah Fazal.
Assalamu alaikum. Normally I do not read, but today I have to read because I'm not putting myself. Assalamu alaikum. Young children, young adults, Honorable Justice Mr. Ali Shah, Honorable Justice Khalil, Justice Kiani, the leadership of the Federal Judicial Academy, Hayat Ali Shah. Of course, it's great to see our critical partners in child rights and human rights. It's great to see Mr. Rabia here as well. I have the honor and pleasure to join you today in this important event, Reimagine Justice for Children. This is a significant milestone since we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Federal Judicial Academy earlier this year in September. It also marks the start of a 6-year journey to the 2030 Agenda, the SDGs, where we hope every child in contact with the law will have access to justice and safety and under protection. Each year, at least thousands of children get involved in the justice system as victims, witnesses, or those in conflict with the law. Unfortunately, many of them face barriers, including poverty, discrimination, violence, sometimes just where they're born or who are they born to. Even when they are able to file a case, the current justice system lacks child-sensitive and gender-responsive services, exposing children to further risks and harms. Children are not small adults. They have unique needs, capacities, and vulnerabilities that must be recognized and protected within an expertise-based justice system. This is a fundamental child rights manifested in the Convention on the Rights of the Children and the Sustainable Development Goals. Yet in Pakistan and globally, children are often forced into adult justice systems that fail to address their emotional development needs. For instance, the Child Rights International Network ranks Pakistan among number 119 in terms of systems that respond to children's needs. Belgium, by the way, being the number 1 country that does this. It's time to move beyond these practices and adapting adult justice systems for children and expecting them to be sufficient. Instead, we need to transform the justice system and procedures to treat children as children first, responding to their needs and focusing on their well-being, healing, agency, and recovery. You've heard from this young, amazing girl demanding fairness, care, and dignity. I think sometimes we forget dignity is at the heart of how we treat children. The Prophet ﷺ, when he spoke about children and their rights, he always put first dignity. If you look at, I find myself often coming back to this theme of Pakistan being Islamic Republic of Pakistan, a country that was envisioned, created on the basis of a faith, yet sometimes that faith is not manifested in the conduct of our people, of our justice system, and in everything we do. There's a big gap, and that's why I'm reminded dignity being the heart of this. And even though the United Nations speaks about international standards and norms, you have in your name of the country and the faith that you have some of the best norms, if not the best norm humanity has seen. Yet that does not always manifest itself in our conduct and in our systems. So therefore, reimagining justice for children begins with recognizing children's presence and agency in reforms. It also requires building a legal system specifically designed to address their unique needs. You saw in that video a young girl who's met, and I hope this video, by the way, is translated as soon as possible. That young child, the first meeting she has in contact with the law, a police officer who's trained, a police system that is able to respond to the need is critical before even the judicial system comes in. So there are a few recommendations I would like to make. First, every child knows and claims their rights. And this is a great beginning, especially vulnerable and marginalized groups, children who come from better off parts of the society have better access, but we need to focus on the most marginalized, the most deprived, disabled, disability, gender, and refugee children. We should not forget refugee children because Pakistan has been kind and generous to host millions of refugees over the decades, but I think we also need to make sure that refugee children are part and parcel of this discussion. Second, every child can access free legal aid, representation, and services, particularly in underserved communities. This requires stronger policies mandating legal representation for children in all cases, allocating more resources for service provision. And we will be reaching out also to the parliament of this country to also make sure that when legislations and rules happen, also they are funded, because without them, the process will not be able to conclude in a positive outcome. Third, every child in conflict with the law can be diverted. Paradigm shift that urgently needs from solely punishing child offenders to adopting restorative justice, which repairs harm and reintegrates them into children and society. Number four, every child is protected from detention. We must prioritize non-custodial measures and community-based approaches for children in conflict with the law, making detention a last resort, not a first resort, a last resort. For children who end up being detained, it's crucial to provide support upon release to help them reintegrate into society and reduce the risk of reoffending. And we in UNICEF are willing and able to support with all the institutions of the country. Before COVID, many countries were reluctant to release children from detention for those in conflict with the law. However, during the pandemic, we saw over 11,600 children were released using alternative measures in at least 37 countries. So when there is a will, there is a way, and at times of disaster and global fear, we can respond. So why not use the same mechanisms in regular times? Number five, every child survivor of sexual violence, abuse, or exploitation must receive justice. Survivors of sexual violence, abuse, and exploitation, particularly children, must have access to age-appropriate and gender-sensitive redressal mechanisms to seek justice and healing. However, over the past years, multidisciplinary approach and training for law enforcement, legal and medical legal professionals have contributed to an increase in the conviction rate from 4% to 11%. 11%. We should not be proud of 11%, but that's still a dismal rate. Last but not least, every child can access alternative dispute resolution mechanisms and child-friendly courts. Specialized courts designed to meet children's needs will make the legal process more accessible and less intimidating, ensuring children can navigate the process in a protected and supported manner. And we are committed to making sure that at least the first model of such a court is established here in Islamabad, with the support of the leadership of the Federal Judicial Academy, but also the leadership of Justice Masroor Ali Shah, who has been a pioneer in addressing this issue. As we gather today to discuss justice for children, we must keep the best interests of children at the forefront of any reform. We need justice systems that are flexible, supportive, and inclusive of children's voices. Systems that emphasize prevention, empowerment, and community-driven solutions. Achieving a child-centered justice system requires collaboration across government, civil society, development partners. Together, we can come up with an innovative solution. Pakistan has proven again and again and again, especially in the judicial system, in the legal frameworks, that it can be creative and innovative. And with your leadership, we are counting on this to continue. Rooted in the lived experience of children where they are not just beneficiaries but active agents in the process of reimagining justice. I will conclude by saying, let's remember those 6 amazing words you said: fairness, care, dignity, respect, and to be valued. Thank you very much.
We welcome Justice, Honorable Justice Imal Manu Khelsa, who has just joined us. Thank you for your time, sir.
Now I invite the representative of the National Commission on the Rights of Child, NCRC, to represent Pakistan's child rights profile, Mrs. Nadia Bibi. Thank you so much.
Honorable Plenary Judge Mansoor Ali Shah, UNICEF Country Representative Abdullah Fadil, Chairperson NCRC Rabia Jaberi, DJ FJA Hayat Ali Shah, esteemed judges, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and good morning, almost good afternoon. It is truly an honor to stand before you representing the National Commission on the Rights of the Child today at the launch of the Reimagine Justice for Children in Pakistan initiative. The NCRC has always prioritized the protection and well-being of children, particularly those from the most marginalized groups like children in contact or conflict with the law. The NCRC, being an independent statutory body established by the government of Pakistan, has the mandate of protection and fulfillment of children's rights. And its functions include monitoring implementation of laws, reviewing legislations, policies, and practices, addressing violations through inquiries, raising awareness about child rights, and advising the government on necessary reforms. Over the past year, the NCRC has taken several steps to identify and address the key issues in juvenile justice system, that including first, gathering data. We conducted visits to central jails across Sindh, Punjab, Balochistan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to collect critical information about juvenile offenders. This data included number of detained children and the nature of their offenses. Understanding these details is crucial to addressing the root causes and improving policies that protect and rehabilitate these young individuals. Second, assessing conditions. By observing the living conditions in detention facilities and speaking with the children directly, we gained a deeper understanding of the challenges they face on a daily basis. These visits revealed significant gaps in the system that need immediate attention. Third, advocacy and collaboration. Based on our findings, we wrote to the provincial prison departments requesting detailed data on juvenile detainees so that the data can feed into our recommendations to the relevant stakeholders. Additionally, the NCRC is strongly advocating for the JJSA 2018 rules to be enacted in all provinces and is supporting efforts by all relevant partners for the said law to be implemented effectively. We hope that the Honorable Chief Justice will look into the matter and kindly expedite the due process. In line with our efforts, the Reimagine Justice for Children in Pakistan initiative is a call to action for all of us, government agencies, civil society organizations, and international partners. Together, we must build a system that focuses on rehabilitations instead of punishment and ensures that no child feels excluded or forgotten. The NCRC strongly supports alternative approaches like diversion programs and restorative justices, which aim to heal and reintegrate children into society rather than stigmatizing or isolating them. Now, Honorable Justice Mansoor Ali Shah. May I also take the opportunity to highlight some of the laws and policies that need your special attention. For example, the Islamabad High Court recently repealed Section 89 of the Pakistan Penal Code 1860 to align the state's legal framework with the UNCRC. We, the NCRC, request such steps to be taken by all provinces in Pakistan. Moreover, the Honorable Chief Justice has recently established a committee regarding the review of Pakistan prison rules. We would like to request Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan to consider including the NCRC in the committee to highlight and prioritize juvenile justice and include sections on juvenile that are in line with the UNCRC, the Mandela, and the Tokyo rules. Ladies and gentlemen, our efforts, including this initiative, go beyond simply improving the justice system. It is about reimagining justice as a source of hope and transformation. A system that uplifts and inspires every child to dream of a brighter tomorrow. I'd like to congratulate the Supreme Court of Pakistan, the Federal Judicial Academy, UNICEF, GDP, JPP, and all other partners, especially the children who have contributed to this milestone. Let us continue working together to make justice for children a reality, because when we secure justice for children, we create a better future for everyone. With this, I thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
To provide a broader human rights perspective of justice for children, Ms. Rabia Javeri Agha, Chairperson of the National Commission for Human Rights. Please welcome Ms. Rabia Javeri Agha.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Justice Mansoor Ali Shah, Justice Mandokher, Justice Aswat Kiani, Abdullah Fadil, Valerie, NCRC, not any less, DG of the Federal Judicial Academy, and dear children, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for being here. It really is a privilege to be in a room with so many different stakeholders, really looking for just one target. How do we address a very, very critical issue of justice for children? And all of us here in the front and on that side, we are entrusted with upholding fairness and accountability. And we have to ensure that we have to protect our most vulnerable, and that is you all over there. And yet, sadly, our justice system often deepens the wounds that it should heal, leaving young lives scarred forever. Let me begin with a sort of undeniable truth. Our country is very over-legislated and very under-implemented. And we are drowning in layers upon layers of laws. Laws so dense, so contradictory, so complex, that we, and even the government, struggle to understand, to navigate, and to enforce them effectively. This over-legislation breeds inefficiency, it stifles innovation, it undermines compliance, and it erodes public trust in the legal system. But not all laws are flawed. Some, like the juvenile justice system and these recent child protection laws, are progressive. However, their impact remains limited to really just paper. And today, in direct violation of the JJSA, Despite the provision of diversion, 3,000 children are locked in jails throughout Pakistan. And they will remain in this system that fails to differentiate between what is a minor crime, what is a minor mischief, and what is a serious crime. In Karachi, 98.7 children are under trial prisoners, which means their fate has not been decided. And they're detained for very petty crimes, languishing in overcrowded cells, often with other children or juveniles in conflict with law who may be serious offenders. I went to Sindh and I met a little boy, he must be about 15 years old, and he was in jail for about 2 months and he had stolen the neighbor's parrot. So the National Commission for Human Rights has a clear mission. What do we do, especially in terms of juvenile justice? We bridge the gap between what the government promises. So government makes these big promises. What does the law provide? And what do our children actually experience, especially when they're in jail? Now, a little bit about what is NCHR, which is Chidiya ka naam kya hai. So the National Commission for Human Rights has a statutory power to visit areas of detention. We have the power to take sumo motu action. We can become a party in a criminal proceeding, and we are the government's watchdog to task and critically advise the government on what needs to be done with regard to human rights. This year, we were very lucky. After a very rigorous performance audit by the United Nations, we received an A status. What is this really? Thank you. This doesn't mean that human rights are A status. This just means that we have had a performance audit, which is something like an ISO 9000 that they do in companies and industries, and that we are an independent commission which complies with international standards. We also contribute alternate reports on Pakistan's performance vis-a-vis human rights. We just gave a report on the civil and political rights 2 months ago, and now we will be preparing an alternate report on the rights of the child, which will be presented in February next year. We receive complaints, and this is something your children should know. We have different forums. You can call us at any time with any issue concerning you. We have resolved about 8,000 human rights cases at our complaint center. We have conducted critical investigations into torture, irregular migration, prison reform, blasphemy, cyber safety. We have visited jails and women's shelters, mental health facilities, which is something really I think someone should look at. There's a lot of nonsense happening with regard to unregulated people who think or label you as mentally ill and imprison you and give you medication, and there's very little regulation on that. And we have really worked to try and advocate for those who are unheard and overlooked. During our visits to jail, we noted that 90% of the children that we met had no legal aid, despite the setup of institutions that are supposed to provide it. The majority of children came from poverty and lack of education, and 45% of the children we met had never ever attended school. And that kind of underscores the strong link between lack of education and crime or delinquency. NCHR has been, and we have for the last few years, been advocating for justice for children. In Adiala Jail, with the proactive support of juvenile magistrates Rana Mujahid and Nasser Manella Baloch, and the speedy trials that they did, we were able to acquit 75 children in a record-breaking 4 days. However, a month later, when I went back to the jail, and 12 of them had returned. I don't know maths, but that's quite a bit, 12 out of 75. And when I asked the kid, I said, "Tum phir se वापस आ गए हो?" तो कहता, "बाजी पेट में तो खाना भी तो खाना है." So he was back again. And this brings us to the issue that without proper reintegration processes, these children will go back to the only environment that they know, which is jail. And it's a sort of revolving door of, which highlights the need for systemic reform to break this cycle of neglect, lack of education, crime. And this is of extreme importance. All of you children here are talking about education. 40% of Pakistan's population, which is 100 million children, are under the age of 18. 30% of these are illiterate. Every year, 4 million children will go for jobs. When they get the jobs, those children who are not educated will never get a chance to ever get a job. And for them, their opportunities will be non-existent. And what we don't understand and the government needs to understand is that when this lack of prospects affects children, they go into depression, mental health. 3 or 4 reports, very tangible reports, from one from Yar Khan also, show that 34 to 42% of youth suffer from depression and anxiety. When children are faced with this frustration, they turn to violence. And we have seen, and we did a survey of the mob violence that took place in Jaranwala and Sialkot. The majority of people were under the age of 25, some even as young as 12. So this links out how frustration, poverty, violence. And we are ill prepared to handle this crisis. Despite some good work, child protection courts, some child-centric police stations, we really need strong interventions. It's sad. Pakistan has 12 cases of sexual violence against children in every single day. And yet, we do not have National Action Plan on child abuse. We have committed to madrasa reform as early as 2004. Nothing happened. So I don't want to really talk about so much. Everyone has talked, Abdullah has talked, everyone has talked about what we need to do, which is, alternates to jail, ensure rehabilitative sentencing, address socioeconomic disparities, legal aid, empower create juvenile-specific infrastructure, ensure judicial oversight, ensure mandatory training for judiciary and law enforcement, harmonize our legal system with international commitments like the Beijing Rules or the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Today's event really is a wonderful chance to see everybody in this amazing spectrum of age and different stakeholders. We're all committed. And it's a good time, and I would acknowledge all of you being here to really take stock of the progress and the dialogue around the 6 priorities of children agenda to meet all these children. All of us hold a pivotal responsibility in ensuring justice, but justice does not stand alone. It is interconnected with social welfare, with education, with public health. To truly transform the lives of children, we need integrated, multi-stakeholder approach that is not sporadic, that is long-term, inclusive, and cross-party. Together we can make a difference. I commend the Federal Judicial Academy, UNICEF, GDP, Valerie, for organizing this critical forum, which really helps us rewrite this narrative and make life better for the children of this country. Thank you.
Our next speaker, although needs no introduction, but it is an honor for me to introduce our chief guest for the younger generations here, Honorable Mr. Justice Mansoor Ali Shah, Senior Junior Judge of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, is a luminary in the field of judicial reforms and human rights. Known for his progressive judgments and commitments to justice, Justice Shah has been a steadfast advocate for judicial transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. His work has significantly impacted the legal landscape in Pakistan, particularly in advancing justice for children, and promoting a more equitable judicial
Assalamu alaikum, and first of all, a big warm hello to the children in this room. Not only the children in this room, but children of Pakistan as well as all the global children. This is their event, and I must tell you all that you're at the center of it all. This is all about you today. And it's not only today. We might have woken up to it a bit late, but we have woken up. We started reimagining, and we're at the center stage of the justice system, inshallah. some of the prominent judges sitting here, you'll see that the courts are going to now start functioning differently. We want to mainstream this child justice as one of our key, agendas for the future. So, I mean, just keep that in mind that you're our heroes and you're the one that we're looking at. So, let me just start off by first really appreciating what was said, what Abdullah said, what Nadia said, what Rabia said. Brilliant conversation, brilliant ideas, and I would really want FJA to sort of share these features with me so I can sort of take them to the Chief Justice and share it with my other judges also. Some very important points that were made. I would also urge both of them, the NCHR and NCRC, sorry if I mixed them up, but I've already had this conversation with Madam Rabia earlier, that you see, come to the court. You see, come to the court also. I don't personally sit on a constitutional bench, but my brother does, and he could really take up these matters, you see, under 184(3). Or you can go to the High Court. I mean, you need to also have this engagement with us. Don't expect us to just do this on our own. You have so much data, you have so much information, you have such reports with you. Why don't you approach the court? For a number of things that you've just said today, they're very important. And we need to sensitize things by, so you're approaching the courts. Public interest litigation makes a lot of difference. I think I would urge both the organizations, and I think it's within your mandate to reach out and do this. I also want to thank Abdullah, who is a wonderful human being, and more than a regional head, to me, he's just a very good friend. That means a lot more. And to UNICEF, and for sort of partnering with FJA, and for basically enlightening us on this concept. Had we not met, had we not interacted with UNICEF, perhaps I would not have learned a lot that I have learned over the period of time that I've sort of worked with them. So this is amazing. And today my exercise is that I want to tell my judges who are here from the district judiciary that how important child justice is here. Child justice is to us, and how we can really improve on this concept. How can we actually mainstream this concept in our jurisprudence and actually help children in our country. So children who are sitting here, now I'm addressing my judges how to do things for you. You see, so you are at the heart of it again. So that deserves a big clap for you, and thank you for being there. So thank you to UNICEF, thank you to Valvi Khan also, who's actually the silent worker behind all this, and she's not only on the stage, but she's the one who's done a lot of work. Big clap for her too. So all these people, and of course the dynamic team at FJA, how could I not sort of appreciate them, which includes the DG, Fakhr Saab and Shazia, and the others also, who've done a lot of work behind this child justice. So child justice means a lot to us, and I'm sure later on you'll see there are some activities here. We're trying to set up a center at the FJA for children, so that when judges come for training, they sort of go into that center and they are more sensitized towards child rights. We're also, thinking of other things that I'll talk about, like child court in the country. We'll talk about that in just a while. So I just want to share a few things, some of the ideas that I had on this subject. But let me just start off by saying that children are not only our future, they are our present also. So that's very important. Sometimes you think it's about future. It's not the future, it's right now. And I think we need to take stock of things right now as we speak. So, and we rely on this wonderful, while preparing this, I got to know a number of child rights activists who've written wonderfully well over the years. So Janusz Korczak, must be Polish, has written wonderfully. He says the children are not the people of tomorrow. They are people today. They have a right to be taken seriously. So that's something. And also want to quote another saying by Desmond Tutu, who said, children are a gift from God. They are not just tomorrow's citizens, they are citizens today. So a lot of people are emphasizing the contemporary understanding of children. You see, we all think that it's the future. No, it's not the future, it's today, and we must think of that way. I want to start off by talking about a wonderful person which I discovered during my research. This is Eglantine Jebb. She's born in England in 1876 and was a pioneering social reformer. And I would urge the children and others to read up about her. And she founded an organization called Save the Children way back in early 18th century, an organization dedicated to improving the lives of children worldwide. After witnessing the devastating impact of World War I on children, that Save the Children organization and the work she did, she came up with the Declaration of the Rights of the Child in 1924, which became the foundation for the UNCRC, which was later on the convention that we talk about, the UNCRC, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Child. So she was a pioneering lady, you see, and I would urge everybody to read up about her because she's written wonderfully well, and her iconic quote is, "The only international language in the world is a child's cry," which has become, the quote becomes iconic for its simple yet profound acknowledgement of children's universal vulnerability and the need for collective responsibility. Yet, across the globe, millions of children suffer in silence, disregarded, overlooked, and deprived of justice that they deserve. So UNICEF's profound concept of voice of the child, I'm really actually impressed by the physiology of it. Voice of the child reminds us that justice is incomplete without listening to those it serves. The voice of the child isn't just about hearing children, but about amplifying their voices. And we need to understand that. We don't really, in the courts, frankly, judges sitting here, we don't really listen to children. हमारे अदालत में बच्चा पेश होता है, माँ बाप से ही पूछ लेते हैं, अच्छा क्या करना है जी, क्या होना है, and as if this is a commodity standing on the side. आप ये मानते हैं ना ये बात, आप लोग एग्री करेंगे, हम उससे इंटरेक्ट नहीं करते बच्चे से. हम वो कोर्ट में बच्चा खड़ा हुआ है, हम माँ बाप से बात करते हैं, फैसला कर देते हैं उसकी जिंदगी का, उसका भी हक है कुछ कहने का. सो एक जो सबसे बड़ी चीज इस कन्वेंशन से निकल रही है वो ये कि लिसन टू चिल्ड्रन. प्लीज, उनका भी कोई माइंड है, उनकी भी कोई सोच है, उनकी भी कोई फीलिंग्स है, उनको सुने. So पहला मैसेज ये होगा, please listen to the children in the court. That would be the first lesson for me as a judge. Next time a child appears in your court, listen to the child. Talk to the child. Have a conversation with the child. Make him participate or her participate in the proceedings, जो अभी नहीं होता, और ये हम agree करते हैं कि नहीं होता. And I'm sorry to the children कि नहीं होता, लेकिन होगा आज के बाद. ठीक है? So the Voice of the Child program of the UNICEF is actually designed to ensure that children are actively involved in matters that affect their lives, promoting their right to be heard and participate in the decision-making process. This, to my mind, and this to the world perhaps, is child justice that we want to talk about. So children are defined by law as who are under the age of majority in this country or in any country, usually 18 years old. Child justice refers to a specialized system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address the unique needs and rights of children, ensuring their protection, rehabilitation, and reintegration into the society. We need to put the children back into the society. Earlier, Madam Rabia also referred to the fact that Tota Chori hua to jail mein baitha. That's not it. The children have to go back into the society. We'll talk about diversion and other things. Reintegration is critical for children. I mean, आप इनको आम adults की तरह treat नहीं कर सकते. They have to go back into the society. So when we established the first child court in Lahore, the concept was कि बच्चों को अदालती जो निज़ाम है उसका उनके formative years हैं उनको disturb मत करें, उनको अदालती निज़ाम में से मत गुजारें. So हमने child court separate एक complex बाहर side पे बना दिया कि child आए फारग करें, get done with this case so that he gets back to life. You see. Rather than his case is tagged along with all the other cases और 15 साल 20 साल बच्चे को भी लग रहे हैं उस केस में से गुजरने के लिए. जरूरी नहीं है कि वो criminal case हो. The child could be a witness in a case. The child could be just a respondent in that case or defendant, or could also be an accused. तो उसको फारग जल्दी करें. That was the concept of child courts that we tried to establish, and we plan to do that. Just as Jamal is here, who's very actively participating in a number of reforms, that we need to take child courts in the country, all over the country. उसको बनाना मुश्किल नहीं है, सिर्फ केस मैनेजमेंट की बात है कि बच्चों के केसेस सारे उधर चले जाएं. I'm sure Islamabad High Court could have a look at that also. So this system emphasizes restorative approach over punitive measures. That's the critical part. Aiming to create opportunities for children to leading fulfilling lives. As Nelson Mandela aptly said, There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. So हमारा टेस्ट क्या होगा? जुडिशरी का टेस्ट क्या है कि हम बच्चों को कैसे ट्रीट करते हैं? मेरा अगर हमारे मार्क्स लगने हैं, इनको तो ए ग्रेड मिल गया है, हमें नहीं मिला अभी, लेकिन हमें ए ग्रेड तब मिलेगा कि हमारा जस्टिस सिस्टम बच्चों के लिए क्या कर रहा है, कितने सेंसिटिव है हम अपने जस्टिस सिस्टम में बच्चों की तरफ, फिर शायद ए और स्टार भी मिलेगा हाथ पे, वरना नहीं. So ये जरूरी है. So like all of us here, these children have human rights. We need to understand that, which includes the right to speak out and express opinions, as well as right to equality, health, education, a clean environment, a safe place to live, and protection from all kinds of harm. This is the mandate. In fact, the approach is that the children should be more dear and more important to us than ourselves. That should be the approach of a judge, to my mind. A child walks into your court, you need to get very sensitively alert. Oh, let me just sort this out first. You can't make the child sit the whole day and not listen and forget about it. That case must automatically, that file must speak to you immediately. That this is the case I must address immediately. And with compassion and all that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So statistics, briefly, they've been mentioned earlier also. So according to UNICEF again, there are about 2.4 billion children in the world, nearly a third of the total human population. Global challenges include, we come down to Pakistan, but global challenges are children in conflict zones. Over 450 million children live in conflict-affected areas where justice is often inaccessible. And it's very heartening and depressing, actually, to talk about genocide at Gaza, and the figures that are coming out are disturbing. I move on to child labor and exploitation, another global challenge. The juvenile justice system is another challenge because incarceration rates remain alarmingly high and rehabilitation systems are often punitive rather than restorative. This is a global dilemma. Digital vulnerabilities is a new thing. Online exploitation, cyberbullying, and trafficking are emerging threats to child safety. This is a global threat also. Coming to Pakistan, as of 2023, there are 107 million people under the age of 18 in Pakistan. Out of these, 71 million children are aged 5 to 16. And it's a unique situation that Pakistan has a young generation than any other country. I think 60-62% are young people in this country. So we need to be overly alert as to what we're doing because we need to channelize this energy into something more fruitful. Our issues in Pakistan would be child health to start with. Nearly half of Pakistan's children are deficient in critical vitamins and minerals. More than 1/3 of households are food insecure, and with 18.3% of households are affected by severe food insecurity. One of the 8 adolescent girls and 1 in 5 adolescent boys is underweight. 56.6% of adolescent girls in Pakistan are anemic. So this is worrying. This is worrying. We don't see this, but when we read about this, this is certainly very disturbing. The second big area is the child education itself. An estimated of 36% or 25.3 million of these children are out of school. I mean, this is a big responsibility. How could this be possible? I mean, any adult sitting in this room, 25.3 million children in this country are out of school. We need to be doing something about it. And I don't want to quote other figures, I just move on. Children with special needs, that doesn't even show. Nobody even looks at that. According to the survey of Pakistan Bureau of Statistics taken by Nadra, there are 0.4 million, that's 0.4 million is about 371,000 people, children, with special needs in Pakistan across areas such as visually impaired, hearing and speech impairment and others. In Pakistan, children with special needs are not integrated into the society and encounter multiple challenges, such as a lack of access to health facilities, funds, and qualified educational staff to study their needs. Special children in Pakistan, you take them to a regular school doesn't know what to do with them. You go out to England, the mainstream children, they say, you're welcome, please, the child should sit here. Our teachers don't understand this, our schools don't understand. Where do we take them? So please, we need to understand special children need to be cared, looked after. Pakistan doesn't have any such facility. I mean, it does, but it doesn't have the way it should be. Child marriage is another issue. According to UNICEF, approximately 21% of the girls in Pakistan are married before the age of 18. The Pakistan Demographic and Health Survey, PDHS, 2017-2018 reports that 18% of women aged 20 and 24 were married before the age of 18. And the figure goes on, it's very depressing. That I just want to flag the area. And then we still have the customs of Wani and Sawara going on. I mean, we at the Supreme Court, I remember as a public interest litigator took the matter of Sawara to the Supreme Court long years ago. It still continues. Sawara and Waniya, where young girls, often minors, are given in marriage to an aggrieved family as compensation to end disputes, and they're still prevalent. So shame on us, actually. Child labor, another big area. According to the Labor Force Survey, 2017 and 18, around 12.5 million children between the age of 5 and 14 are engaged in child labor. Then we have child trafficking going on. According to the Trafficking in Person Report 2024 by the US Department of State, the government of Pakistan reported identifying 30,000 trafficking victims. These included 20,000 sex trafficking victims, and then it goes on and on and on, other figures. I'm cutting short. Forced conversions, from other religions to other religions. The population of Pakistan is 96.3% Muslim, but there are other populations, there are forced conversions being made. Then we have corporal punishment, which I really disturb. And corporal punishment is the punishment given in schools by teachers to students. In a study carried out in 40 schools across Hyderabad by the National Institute of Health, it was reported that out of 1,752 sixth grade students, 91% of boys and 60% of girls reported corporal punishment at the school. This is not on. Corporal punishment really is illegal. I mean, the law prohibits it, but goes on. We need to address that. Juvenile offenders. The total number of convicted under trial juvenile imprisoned in various hostels, institutes, and jails in Punjab was 645, and the figure goes on, but we need to look at that. We need to get them out of prisons, put them into some other, modes of restoration. That is diversion and other plans that are provided in the new 2018 Act, which has come. Child abuse is another big problem our society is facing. Sahil, a local NGO, released its annual reports called the Cruel Numbers for 2023 on 29 February 24, reporting incidents of child abuse, which included cases of child abuse, sexual abuse, abductions, missing children, child online abuse, and child marriages in all 4 provinces, as well as Islamabad. So this is also going on. With the increase in internet penetration in Pakistan, well, the internet is pretty slow these days, but otherwise, and an increase of 22 million internet users recently, issues such as child pornography, cyberbullying, sexting, live streaming of child sexual abuse, and their exploitation have intensified. The term sexting is another term that I just discovered, but not very happily. But I mean, these are the things that are going on. So, well, in this case, I'm kind of glad that the internet is slow. So, climate change. According to UNICEF's 2021 Landmarks Children's Climate Risk Index report, 1 billion children are at extreme high risk of the impacts of climate change and climate crisis. So that's another intersection that is worrying. So how do we go about it, you see? What should be as judges, what should be our approach? These are the crises going on, and we'll end up getting on these.
Suicide, majority of children use suicide.
So you're adding to my depression. There is suicide also, which I missed out happily, but I just want to add that. Suicide, thank you for that input. Suicide is also, I don't have the figures, but as pointed out by my brother, 300 and some. So that again is so what is the approach and what does UNCRC tell us and what does the global literature tell us? So the judges need to be looking at the following, and I think this is something I'll write down as a judge. This is my key way of doing things. So number one is the best interest of the child. Now, we don't have this literature. We just talk about welfare of child when we talk about guardianship and welfare of the child, and that's the term that might have come through earlier jurisprudence to us. But the world is talking about best interest of the child. In serving the best interest of children, we serve the best interest of the humanity, is something that somebody said. In all actions where children are directly or indirectly involved or affected by the justice system, the best interest of the child should be the primary consideration. So that's the first principle. Therefore, in every action, even thought must be given, thought must be given to how the action will impact on a child or groups of children to ensure their best interests are met. That's one. Number two, guaranteeing fair and equal treatment of every child free from all kinds of discrimination. We have to ensure that the child is not being discriminated. That's the second principle which comes out very strong. More importantly, advancing the right of the child to express his or her views freely and to be heard. As I said earlier, we need to listen and engage and make the child participate in the judicial proceedings to understand what he wants to say. Children have a particular right to be heard in any administrative or judicial proceedings, either directly or through a representative or an appropriate body in a manner consistent with the procedural rules of national law, which doesn't happen. Next principle, protecting every child from abuse, exploitation, and violence. This is also the responsibility of the court to create that cover, that protection around a child, which is important. We need to move on, treating every child with dignity and compassion. Now, this is what a judge must have. He must have compassion, or she must have compassion. A judge can't be a judge if he or she does not have compassion. So every child has to be treated as a unique and valuable human being, and as such, his or her individual dignity, as also pointed out by my friend Abdullah, dignity is at the heart of it. Special needs, interests, privacy should be respected and protected. So we must protect the child. I personally, I must admit that if a child comes to my court, we're not really talking about protecting the child immediately. We're just trying to decide a case. I think we need to get more sensitive about it. We have a child coming to a court. Think about the child. Are we protecting him? Are we giving him the security? Is his privacy protected? Is he being heard? I think that's the kind of focus we need to have in the court. So respecting legal guarantees and safeguards in all due processes, we need to do that. Preventing conflict with the law is a crucial element of any juvenile justice policy. These are all principles that continue coming. I'll just move on. So mainstreaming children's issues in all rule of law efforts are important. Our legal framework, we have, and I urge every judge to go through the UNCRC. It talks about some wonderful principles and is legally binding because Pakistan is a signatory to this document. And a number of its articles are very illuminating. I don't want to go through them. Article 3, Article 37. You can also look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I'm telling this to the judges when they're writing their judgments. These are the documents you should refer to. There's a lot of literature out there for you that helps you reach out to the children. One is the convention itself, then the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and I don't want to get into them. International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR talks about it. ICESCR, that's International Covenant on Social, Economic and Cultural Rights, talks about it. I don't want to refer to the articles. United Nations General Comment number 26 of 2023 also supports this. All these documents are relevant. You can write them in your judgment and, reach out and help the child. So I'll just, and then you have to also make sure that you have a look at the Beijing rules, which is the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for Administration of Juvenile Justice. I think every judge must read them. And I would urge the FJA to ensure that whatever comes out of this conference, if we can come up with all these documents as a bench book, and I will urge UNICEF also, this bench book needs to get to the judges actually. So what I'm saying here would just actually disappear once I leave. So in order to sort of solidify what's happening, I think a bench book with the help of UNICEF would be wonderful, and we can immediately start working, and Valerie Khan is here. If we can at least send the judges these documents, that will be extremely helpful. Moving on to, and then of course we have the national framework, and I would urge judges to look at your own constitution, which is very strong and robust in this regard. First of all, Article 11.3 of the Constitution provides that no child below the age of 14 years shall be engaged in any factory or any other hazardous employment. And hazardous employment is open to interpretation. And we can do that, we don't do any limit for that matter. To my mind, even a household could become hazardous depending on the circumstances. So I think 11.3 needs a reinterpretation. Once again, I can't do it. My friend who's from the constitutional bench I urge him to do it because I'm sorry, I keep coming up with this remark at times, but मैं अब क्या करूँ, मैं वो interpretation of constitution कर नहीं सकता. अच्छा ठीक. But I'm so glad that Jamal Saab is here, so he could do this. और एक और है जी 25(3) of the Constitution provides that state can make any special provisions for the protection of women and children. Women का तो आज तक हम करते रहे. Children का हमने ये part पढ़ा ही नहीं लगता है 25(3). You can go ahead and make special provision for children. So special provision में आप उसको आगे बढ़ के help कर सकते हैं जितना आप करना चाहें. I think this gives you a lot of bandwidth कि इसको आप आगे ले जाएं. तो 25(3) बहुत ही important होगा. And then there 25(a), 35, 37 वगैरह वगैरह. और जो एक्ट है Juvenile Justice System Act 2018 JJSA talks about a number of interesting things. The 2018 law, which one thing that I want to mention is that diversion का जो part है वो unattended. So we don't have to send the child to prison. I mean, there are a number of other avenues available for us. उनको community service, मुख्तलिफ कामों पे आप लगा सकते हैं. इस चीज को देखें. We want, and I hope that the FJA is also, while training judges here, tell them that diversion is possible. And let's see that we start getting some orders from the district judiciary, which is dealing with diversion rather than sort of sending them behind prison. I think this also then, once again, I want to reiterate that Ravi and others could bring these petitions to the court to highlight that this can happen. And I think they should. We have laws like Sin Child Marriage Restraint Act, which could be looked at for child marriages. We have the Punjab Domestic Workers Act. Some of them are kind of untouched. Nobody's really talking about them. So this bench book could highlight and bring these to everybody. And, you know, sometimes you don't know that there's a law that exists. If it's there, it will be helpful for the judges to have this. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Child Protection Act is there, 2010. So we might be over-legislated, but I tell you, most of the judges don't know about this over-legislation. So maybe sometimes over-legislation could, we make the best of it by putting it to some use that we could. So then coming down to jurisprudence, we've had some recent good judgments. Even Justice Jamal Khan was telling me that he had come up with a very exciting judgment in Balochistan, which I'm not really aware of here, but that too. But otherwise, we've come up with exciting jurisprudence recently, talking about the best interests of the child from the Supreme Court. I don't want to talk about the judgments, but you will find out, and hopefully we put them into the bench book also for the judges to understand. I don't want to sort of labor through the recent judgments that we've come up in this regard. Then I want to sort of touch upon another area, which is that sometimes, you see, we come from, as Abdullah rightly pointed out, we come from the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. So maybe there is, there's a lot of wisdom in our own system, in our own religion about this. And sometimes that touches the chord more than maybe just common law systems. So we have an Islamic jurisprudence on this also, and I just want to refer to that. Now, key principles of child justice in Islam. Sometimes these things touch us more, being Muslims, and if nothing else works, this could work. And that says that compassion and mercy, which is Rahmah, is the guidance. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized mercy towards children. And I quote, "He is not one of us who does not show mercy to our young." So this comes out of it. And the mandate is that judges must prioritize compassion in all decisions involving children, ensuring penalties or judgments focused on reform rather than punishment. Then the best interest of the child is also referred to as Masalaha al-Tifl, which is decisions must prioritize the child's welfare and future. Now this is all coming out of our religion, you see. We have UNCRC kar rahe the, but it's all there. So the mandate is the judges should adopt a welfare-based approach, considering the physical, emotional, and social needs of a child above all else. Then we have the accountability for guardians, wilaya, which says Islam holds parents and guardians accountable for the proper upbringing of the children. And once again, I quote the Prophet, peace be upon him, who said, "Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you is responsible for his flock." So judges should assess the role of the guardians in cases of neglect or delinquency, and may intervene to protect the child's interests, says our religion. Age of responsibility, taklif, that's what it says. Children are not considered fully accountable for their actions until they reach the age of maturity. That's when they become baligh. So Islamic law exempts children from harsh punishments and focuses on corrective measures and moral education for minors. once again, coming out of our system. Restorative justice, Sulah and Islam. This is also part of Islam. And it says Islam encourages reconciliation and forgiveness over retribution, especially in cases involving minors. And judges should promote restorative justice mechanisms such as mediation between families or community-driven solutions. And this we can do sitting in court. It's not about just quickly punishing them and sending them to prison. Let's be innovative. Let's be slightly more creative. Let's get the community involved. Let's think of all the other avenues that the child could resolve that dispute through. We do that now, ADR being a system, but we're bringing in generally. Protection from harm. The principle of la darar wa la darar, no harm or reciprocating harm, mandates safeguarding children from any form of abuse or exploitation. Once again, comes into our system. Then education and rehabilitation, again, Islam talks about it, places immense importance on education and moral upbringing. And I quote from the hadith, no father gives his child anything better than good manners, leading to, giving them good education. Equality and justice, adl and qist, also preventive measures, Islam talks about it. Dignity of the child, this is karama. The Quran highlights the inherent dignity of every human. We have honored the children of Adam, says the Quran. Judges must ensure that judicial process respect the dignity of the child, avoiding practices that stigmatize or traumatize them. So judicial practices which are important, which are mandated by Islam, we must follow as judges, as justice system, would be a child-friendly courtroom, for example. We need to start thinking of that. We need to, and Jamal Khan Sahib is here, we need to, and Justice Dani is also here, we need to think of setting up child courts in the country. It's important. We can't just go on. So whenever a child is in conflict or in contact with our justice system, we must have a special provision for it. It can't be, right now we're not thinking about the child. बच्चे का कोई ख्याल नहीं है. वो इस तरह ये सारा कोई adult हमारे system में आ रहा है. जैसी child हमारे system में आता है, हमारे एक और mechanism on हो जाना चाहिए, जो उसको protective तरीके से देखे और उसको जल्दी उसके मामलात को हल करे. That is what the religion also mandating. That's what the global literature is telling us. So child-friendly courtrooms, avoidance of harsh punishments. ये बात सबने कही है. इसने echoed earlier. ये punishments का system नहीं है बच्चों के मामले में. We need to be creative on this. और holistic assessment सारी करें, counseling करें, mediation की तरफ जाएं. This is what we have to look at. So basically, the philosophy that the judges will have to follow or judiciary have to follow is the restorative justice focus. We have to restore things. We don't have to have a retributive approach towards, but restorative approach towards. We need to think of diversion programs. For example, steering children away from formal judicial system to community support and alternative solutions. Counseling, skill building programs, mentorship. Please think of these things. We don't have a single order from the Supreme Court down to the civil court where we say diversion of mentorship is possible. Maybe there is, but I don't know. I don't know of such an order which I can show case right now to the children sitting in front of me that we could send you for mentorship. We can send you to community work. No. We just send you to prison for 12 hours. So that's what we do right now. But we'll change. I assure you we'll change. Then we have child-centric judicial procedures. We need to ensure that judicial processes are sensitive to the needs of the children. Children courtrooms and arrangements. And I think there were some photographs, I don't know if it was being shown. So there's something, there are courtrooms. We set that up in Lahore. And you see, it's not photo, but I'm just saying that you see, this is the courtrooms that we try to develop, where children sit in the courtrooms on the side and they could be taken into the hearing later on. We have court बनाए हैं पंजाब में और जगह भी बने हुए हैं, सीपी में भी बनाए हैं. And ये child court देखें आप लिखा हुआ है. ये माहौल create करना पड़ेगा if we want to protect your children. They can't be rushed through the rigors of the justice system just like that. और ये कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. ये कोर्ट को इस तरह बनाना है और उसमें साइकियाट्रिस्ट साइकोलॉजिस्ट कोई भी साथ रख के वो भी साथ उसकी सपोर्ट भी होती है. So basically, I think I'm just going on and on. I should stop. I'll just in the end want to say that judiciary has the way forward for us would be that we establish, and these are recommendations for the Honorable Chief Justice who is not here today, but we will communicate this to him. We'll communicate your suggestions and inputs, but some of the way forward checklist to me is which I am actually going to take to the Chief Justice, is to establish juvenile justice committees in all tiers of the governance in order to increase access to justice. Number two, establish juvenile rehabilitation centers in each district. 3, introduction of child courts across Pakistan with the child sensitivity as its guiding principle. Number 4, new rules of business for carrying out the provisions of JJSA for Punjab, Balochistan and other provinces. Establish independent investigative mechanism empowered to initiate investigations into police misconduct based on complaints or other available information. These bodies should have unrestricted access to police stations and all detention facilities, including unofficial ones, and be readily accessible to children and their families. And the next one, establish and implement an effective age determination mechanism providing for a multidisciplinary and holistic age assessment procedures in cases where no documentary proof exists. Review and revise the Pakistan prison rules, which was discussed, and I think the initiative has been already taken by the Honorable Chief Justice regarding prisons. So they have to look at it in the light of the JJSA 2018, and I'm sure that will happen. Train and sensitize juvenile courts, police, probation, prosecution, investigation, detention, prison staff, as well as the MLOs, the medical legal officers, psychologists, and social workers on the provisions of JJSA and the child justice. That needs to happen. The training has started at the academy, and I'm sure this relationship with UNICEF, which extends over a period of time, will lead to huge benefits in this regard. Ensure that the provisions of qualified and independent pro bono legal representation to children in conflict with the law. The provincial governments need to allocate adequate funds for legal assistance and defense lawyers for juvenile offenders by maintaining a roster panel of committed and dedicated lawyers both at the provincial level. And here I would say that organizations like NCHR or the NCRC could come forward to the courts, bringing these very vitally cutting-edge issues. That also helps us be in touch with what's happening, and also some very productive orders will be passed in that direction. Issue judicial guidelines providing for the grant of bail without sureties for juvenile offenders based on their socio-economic circumstances. Capacity building of judges, which we're doing, and prosecutors and court staff. So in the end, a quote that was partly said by somebody, and I sort of kind of changed it and played with it. So the quote is now as follows. Every generation, it touches my heart actually, every generation of children offers mankind the possibility of rebuilding a better world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this insightful discourse, Honorable Justice Shah. We always seek your guidance and you are our inspiration. मुझे डीजी साहब ने कहा है कि मैं 2-3 अनाउंसमेंट्स कर दूं, उसमें से एक ये है कि हम बहुत जल्द ट्रेनिंग्स जो है सेकंड फेज ऑफ दिस प्रोग्राम इज द ट्रेनिंग ऑफ द जजेस ऑन diversion and everything regarding JJSA. Then we have a dedicated paid website for the child rights with the Reimagine Justice of Pakistan. We have collected almost all the laws in here and all the judgments rendered by the Supreme Court of Pakistan and some judgments from the High Courts. And then we are soon going towards a bench book. It's rather on the way. शायद हम आज उसे दिखा नहीं सके, but we have done a lot of work on that. Thank you so much. Now I again मैं ज़हमत देती हूँ अपने डीजी साहब को, please come forward for a vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू अब्दुल्ला, शुक्रिया आप लोगों का। मुझे नाम याद रखने में थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, सॉरी। बहुत ही शुक्रिया जनाब जस्टिस मंसूर अली शाह साहब, आपकी क़यादत और आपकी रहनुमाई हमारे लिए हमेशा बशर है। जनाब जस्टिस जमाल खान मुंतखब साहब ने आपका बेहद मशहूर, आपकी हमेशा एकेडमी को सरपरस्ती करते रहे हैं और जब भी हमने आपसे गुजारिश किया तशरीफ लाएं। जस्टिस मोहसिन असफर साहब, आपका भी इंतहा मशकूर हूँ कि आपने भी हमेशा जब भी हमने पुकारा है तो आपने हमारी मदद की है और हमारी सरपरस्ती की है। डिस्ट्रिक्ट जुडिशरी बाय वेरी क्लोज टू माय हार्ट, आप लोगों का बेइंतहा मशकूर हूँ। आपने इतना लंबा सफर करके आए हैं और जो मैसेज आज आपको मिला है मेरा ख्याल है उस पर हम सब मशहूर हैं जनाब मंसूर अली शाह साहब के. इट वॉज अ गाइडेंस फॉर अस. बच्चे हमारे मुस्तकबिल में आपका भी बेइंतहा मशहूर हूँ. आप लोग अपने स्कूल छोड़ के या जिन लोगों के स्कूल थे जिनके नहीं थे फिर भी आप लोग आए और इस महफिल को आप लोगों की वजह से बड़ी इज्जत बड़ी रौनक मिली है. मैं बाकी अपने मुअज़्ज़ज़ मेहमानों का भी बेइंतहा मशहूर हूँ और मैं प्रेस का भी मशहूर हूँ. आप लोग भी तशरीफ लाए और पूरी कवरेज आपने इस प्रोग्राम की थी. सो आई एम थैंकफुल टू ऑल. थैंक यू वेरी मच सर.
Thank you so much. Now it's time to move for the ribbon cutting ceremony for the inauguration of the Justice for Children Initiative Resource Center. Please join us in the lobby downstairs. Then we have a group photograph followed by a lunch.